So in this video, once again, I give you our monthly update about the status of embassies and consulates worldwide. Make sure you stick to the end and I'll give you all the latest information. Let's jump right in. So the issue of when embassies and consulates are going to reopen is the biggest question that I'm getting from viewers of our channel, people who subscribe to our channel, and a lot in our comments and questions that I get personally. Everybody wants to know when our embassies and consulates are going to finally reopen. And so the latest update we have directly from the State Department, and I'm going to tell you in the video also about what's happening specifically in our practice, and just give you an idea so you know, and maybe it will apply to your situation. But the formal announcement, the last update from the State Department is actually from mid-November, which is only a few weeks from the date I'm making this video. And we're going to go over this update right now. You can see it on the screen right now. So we'll go over through some of the key points that the State Department put in this announcement, and then we'll talk about what's happening in our office and what I think is going to happen in the next few weeks. And of course, I'll continue making those updates because I know that it is so important for you, whether you're going through a CR1 marriage petition or a K1 or an F2A, we are all in the same boat in this case. So the first thing to know, and like I mentioned almost in every update that I do on the embassies issues, is that each embassy in the respective countries will reopen based on the country conditions. So it doesn't mean that all the embassies or all the consulates are going to open at the same time. They're going to be opening in different phases. So if you have an interview, for example, in Europe or in Africa, it really depends on the specific embassy when they're going to reopen. So many of you are asking me when embassies are going to reopen. Well, I think the right answer to that is where is your case processed, and based on that to determine if your particular embassy will reopen at what particular time. Remember, the embassies and consulates are not going to reopen at the same time. That is something that the State Department specifically stated on their announcement. Every time they do an update, that's when they start. Embassies are going to reopen depending on the country conditions where they're located, and they're going to start reopening under their own terms. Remember that they do have the authorization to reopen already from July. It's just that they choose not to open right now because of their individual processing. So that's one thing that you have to remember. Embassies are going to reopen respectively depending on where they are, and it is important for you to check with your individual embassy every single week, depending on where your case is, whether it's a CR1 or a K1. You have to work directly with your embassy. It doesn't matter if Paris will reopen. It doesn't mean that Madrid will reopen. It is really important to know that, because I think still people have the confusion that embassies are all going to reopen at the same time. That's not the case. The other thing that we have to remember, and it's also in the update, all embassies and consulates, no matter where they are providing emergency and expedited appointments, whether it's under the national interest exceptions or whether it's an emergency that requires an immediate appointment. They are processing those. So whether you are working with an individual embassy or consulate, you have to follow the procedures for how to expedite your particular case with that particular post. Those are currently being processed. If you qualify, you'll be able to get that. And again, whether you're working with the MVC, whether your case is still with the MVC or you already passed the MVC, and your case was not yet sent to the embassy, the point is that all of them are entertaining expedited appointments. If you qualify, or if they believe you qualify, they will issue that and they'll open an interview. And it's really important, and it's also stated on the update from the State Department, as we will post a link in the description of this video. Also, based on their update, all embassies and consulates that are processing immigrant petitions should give preference to CR1 family petitions, international adoptions based on family, and also K1 visas. It is required for them to give preference. Now, in reality, we know that it's not happening, but they have the authorization to do so, and they should be doing so as they start reopening slowly, step by step. So it's on their website, and it's an update from the State Department that they need to prioritize the family petitions because so many couples have been separated for months and months, and they know that. But at the same time, they have some sort of a disclaimer in their update saying that they are going to reopen fully when it's safe to do so and they have the necessary resources to process the cases, which again, to me it's very ambiguous, it's very vague, it's a very broad statement, but it appears on their website, and it seems like a lot of these embassies are using that vague, essentially not to open interview appointments at this time, pretty much in all embassies. People are asking actually, what are the criteria that these embassies are following when they're making a decision whether they're going to reopen or not? Because again, they do have the authority to reopen. What's stopping them from doing so? Well, look at what it says on their own announcement. It says the following: "We are closely monitoring local conditions in each country where we have U.S. presence. Local conditions that may affect when we can begin providing various public services include medical infrastructure, COVID-19 cases, emergency response capabilities, and restrictions on leaving home." So as you can see, those are again very broad conditions, but hopefully as things improve in many other countries, hopefully it will also force the U.S. embassies in those countries to start reopening and opening their calendars for routine visa appointments. They're supposed to, based on their own guidelines. So a lot of people are wondering, people that already had their appointments and they're trying to reschedule. For example, we have quite a few applicants that already had visa appointments in March, but the visas expired already because they couldn't enter the U.S. because of the proclamation. Those are K1s as well as CR1s. They just had their visas issued, but they couldn't leave. And then again, they paid their MRV fee, the visa fee, and now it's already expired. So some people are trying to repay that again, and others they have no idea what to do. Based on the guidance from the recent guidance, the State Department said that you don't have to pay the fee again. The fee should be valid for at least a year, and they will extend the validity of the fee all through December 31st of 2021. So you don't have to repay that fee even if your validity expired, based on the current guidelines. And I would definitely wait for people. I would hold off until the embassy reopens your appointment before you making any payments or starting a new medical exam, just so you don't waste your resources for nothing. You can see it on the screen right now where it says the machine readable visa MRV is valid within 1 year, and you see at the bottom it says Department extended validity of MRV fees until December 31st, 2021 to allow applicants who are unable to schedule a visa appointment to do so during the suspension. So that's another good news, because that wasn't clear until this update, that you don't have to pay the MRV fee again. It is valid and until December of 2021. So what's happening right now with some of our cases? So we've had some K1 approval based on expedite. Those are not routine appointments. We've had them in Poland, we've had them in Madrid, we've had them in Frankfurt recently. We've had a few cases from Islamabad, also a few from Mumbai, all through our expedited processing. They were not regular appointments. The only regular appointments we've seen were from Canada, from Montreal, and we've seen one from Paris, from France, which were not expedited. They were routine CR1 cases that were approved. Now, what does that mean? That means that some embassies are reopening for routine visa appointment because of country conditions. We know that Lebanon is opening for routine visa appointments. We know that Jordan is opening for routine visa appointments, and we believe Tel Aviv as well, based on recent information, is going to start getting routine visa appointments for family petitions sometime in January. So you can see that there are some embassies and consulates, based on our personal experience for our own cases, that are approving applicants even outside of expedited, right? So that means that they are following some of these regulations, they're looking at the country conditions. But again, this is very, very, it's compared to the thousands of cases that they have pending, this is nothing. So right now, the only thing that we see, and the only thing that we suggest people do is to continue to stay in contact with your individual consulate or embassy to see if you qualify in any of the exceptions to get your case expedited. You do it through the MVC, via the embassy through an emergency appointment. And if you can, we strongly encourage you to do so. We're doing a lot of those for our clients. We've seen a lot of success in that respect. And again, it's all about consistent follow-up. It's staying the course and trying to show to the consulate that they do have the power to open for interviews. And if they don't, we have quite a few people do qualify for these emergency appointments because, like I said, this is a major crisis. Families are being separated. It's putting a toll on relationships. In my mind, a national crisis. So once again, this is the update we have about embassies and consulates. They are continuing to reopen. Like I said, it's a good sign that we've seen quite a few of them are issuing those appointments without expedited, but the majority of them still remain closed. And the only way right now to get an appointment is if you qualify under the expedited rules and try to get that moved along faster. So let me know in the comments if you have any other information. We get a lot of information also from our viewers, from people in our private Facebook group. You can see a link in this video. If you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Give us a big like so YouTube can share this with more people just like you. And I will continue to update you once I have more information about different embassies, about our own cases, as we get more approvals. You can also read about some of our success stories on our blog, where we actually detail the full story of how we did that, what are the criteria we use for K1 approval expedited and CR1s. You can find the link to our blog as well, the Visa Lawyer blog, in the description of this video. So once again, thank you for watching. I really hope that I can give you even better news next time, and I'll see you at our next video. Watch these two videos for more information just like that.